What's up, guys? Welcome back to the PDGA channel. So excited for you to be here today. Thank you for joining for this video. Today what we're doing is, I've had a little bit of a problem lately. Back in October, I was feeling really good about my forehand. I was throwing pretty far. 430 feet was kind of my max rip at the time. I was parking a lot of 400-foot forehand shots, feeling super good, feeling like it was getting at this really high level. And then I hit the off season. During December, I kind of took it a little bit lighter. I started just playing like 1 or 2 rounds a week, wasn't hitting the field work, wasn't hitting the putting practice. So my forehand started to die off. And what happened was I didn't have that same distance. I didn't have that same consistency. I was getting some wobble with my forehand. I wasn't being able to throw as far. And it left me thinking, what happened? What's the difference? Was it just because I wasn't playing as much? Was my form changing? And so what I'm doing today is I'm going to throw my forehand how it is, and then I stumbled upon this video that Eagle McMahon put out a year ago on this forehand clinic. And so then I'm going to take the tips and tricks that he put and see if I can get my forehand distance up using what he put out in this video. All right, we're gonna hit the field and do this, but first, let's warm up. All right, guys, I'm all warmed up out here on the field with my discs. Got a handful of 11-speed drivers, 1 turn, so really gonna be a reliable test to see where my forehand's at. So I'm gonna throw these, check it out, and then refer to Eagle's video, make some changes, and see what happens. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna go out to the field. I got my rangefinder with me. I'm gonna check out the distances, and then we'll kind of review the footage a little bit, compare it to what Eagle has to say about forehands, and try it again. All right, starting from left to right, this Christian Tatar Grace. I burnt over a little bit, but luckily it panned out. I have 355 for the distance for this first shot. All right, next up is the stock Grace. I think this one went the furthest. I got a really nice flex out of it. This one went 385 feet. All right, and continuing to move right, we have my twice as far stamped Star Wraith. This one went 363 feet. All right, next I have my Ledgestone Edition Z-Swirl Surge. This one was very similar to the last one at 364 feet. And lastly, we have my Hag Lake Liftoff Star Luster Wraith. This was the shortest of the bunch. I really just went straight to hyzer at 344 feet. All right, so we've done stage 1. I went out to the field. I threw the shots with the form that I'm currently at. And honestly, I thought my form was a little bit worse. Like, it feels worse than it actually looks. So that's a positive for sure. But there's definitely still things to improve upon. And like I said, I'm going to be basing all these changes off of Eagle McMahon's forehand workshop that he put on YouTube about a year ago. So I'll be referencing this kind of back and forth. And he really talks about 3 main things that he goes through. The first being grip, the second being how you get power, and the third being footing. And each of these things are super important with the forehand, and when combined together, you get something crazy like, Eagle McMahon's 500 plus foot forehand, which is awesome. I really encourage you, if you haven't seen it yet, watch this video. It's super helpful. I'm gonna put the link to it in the description of this video, so right down below, and you can check it out and be able to see all these tips that he has for you in full length. But I'm gonna be sharing some snippets from it in this video just to kind of help explain what I'm trying to change. So first up is grip.
First off, you need the disc. And with that disc, you need to grip that disc. Stacked grip, which means you have your middle finger and index finger pressed on the inside of the disc. The thumb position, put your thumb somewhere in between where the rim meets the flight plate. Press the disc up into it. You don't want to have it all loosey-goosey in there. I take my ring finger and pinky finger and I kind of press them up against the rim.
So I actually do a lot of these things. I already did the stacked grip, and my thumb, is right in that spot in between the rim and the flight plate where they meet each other. The big thing is my other two fingers aren't always, pinched up there very well, and the disc isn't always really up against, right here in between the fingers. So by getting that a little bit tighter, I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot more control of the disc with the angles and such. So definitely gonna be focusing on that before I even throw my shot, right? Just getting the disc in the hand, good grip, having it ready to go. So next, Eagle talks about how you get power with the forehand.
A backhand is a straight wrist throw. Forehand is not. You want your wrist completely loaded back. You release the disc quicker, get more snap, more speed. For a forehand, the reach back is non-linear. A big reach back with a forehand is up high. For a forehand, your chest is your hip. You want to be a little bit more bent over at the hips. Your elbow is going to want to be about parallel with your hip. Think about your reach back hinging at the hip, kind of driving your elbow next to your hip.
So one thing that is gonna be huge for me, I just don't do this at all, is on the reach back, reaching up. I never realized that that was important for forehand. So I was always reaching backwards, just trying to keep it a straight line across, just because I didn't want off-axis torque. I wanted it to just go through smooth, but turns out I'm actually gonna get more power going up and then whipping into it. So that's gonna be something that I change that'll hopefully add a lot more power and help me get some of my distance back that I've been missing. Another thing that Eagle talks about with power is cocking back your wrists. And this is something I do already, but I don't really focus on it. So I'm sure there's a lot more potential here to actually cock back my wrists even more so then I can get more snap. This is gonna be super helpful. It's different than backhand where you have a straight wrist. But that's just the way forehand is, and so it's gonna add a lot more spin and hopefully get this disc going a lot further for me. And the last big thing the Eagle talks about is footing.
So the run up, with my right foot forward, kind of stepping out to the right a little bit, starting to turn my foot. My left foot's about 90 degrees, so I kind of use my energy to push this foot off to the ground and it kind of trades places with the other one, and boom. Right now, I am in the position I need to be in to throw a forehand shot. For me personally, in this position, I'm focusing a lot of my weight on my back foot. And as I start bringing the disc across my body and starting the movement of my arm, the weight from my back leg transfers to my front leg, and I'm starting to explode my hips forward facing to the direction I want to go. Imagine you're holding a hammer and you are trying to nail a nail into the wall by slamming it.
This has been really helpful for me because I didn't really know exactly what quote-unquote right footing is for the forehand, and so him explaining it and kind of walking through what this looks like, super helpful. I do a big step over in my run up, and so it'll help a lot for me to switch to more of this shuffle that Eagle is talking about, where I'm switching my front foot for my back foot so that I can really open up my stance and just launch it. And you know, that's actually something that I feel like I've done well with my form, is I have a really open stance. I'm really able to engage the hips, and that's probably what's given me you know, the distance that I do have. Throwing 380 right now is still really solid and I'm happy with, but I think adding all these little things is gonna really help elevate it, bring me back up to at least where I was before, or maybe even further. So to recap, the things that I'm gonna be changing are I'm gonna get the disc a little tighter in my hand, keeping it nice and firm so I have a good grip on it. I'm able to control the angle better. I'm going to cock back my wrists while holding it. On the reach back, I'm going to lift up, and I'm going to do a shuffle with my run up instead of doing a step over. So hopefully when I implement all these things, it'll get me some extra distance. So I'm gonna go out to the field tomorrow and try this out, and we'll see how it goes.
What's up, guys? It is the next day. I am here at the field to try and implement these things that Eagle talked about into my form to see if I can improve that forehand distance. It's very foggy, it's very cold, it's like 30 degrees out right now. I tried while warming up. I can't use the rangefinder because it's so foggy, so I'm gonna be using U-disc, which isn't quite as accurate, but should still be all right. It's cold, so I'm gonna try my best to throw well, but it may not be very far, but we'll see what happens. A reminder, the things I'm trying to work on are cocking back my wrists, keeping the disc firmly in my hand with my grip, reaching upward on my reach back to get that full power. And I decided while warming up that I'm not gonna change my footing. I'm not gonna try and do the shuffle step. I'm gonna keep with the step over because it was just too awkward. That may be something I try and implement long term, but just a quick fix is not gonna happen. It's too awkward, and so I can't get my timing right and everything's off. So I'm gonna save on that, but I'm gonna try to implement these other things and see if I can still improve my distance. So let's do this thing. One thing that's tough is with the reaching back upward, I'm kind of putting all my shots really low, and a lot of times I'm not giving it enough time to pan out. It's just churning the entire time. So I really got to work on reaching up, but then flattening out my shot so then it actually goes straight instead of downward. Hopefully that'll help, but for right now, it's making my shots not go quite as far. That shot was pretty good, but I put a lot of hyzer on it, so it just kind of flipped up and then burnt over. So, you know, not as much distance, but it came out a lot smoother, got the height right. That one felt really good. Got like the perfect height where it's nice and low. Put on a little bit of hyzer, but flipped up and just kind of sailed straight. That's probably one of my best shots on the day. That release wasn't great. Put it a little bit nose up and also on a little bit of Annie. So it actually had a little bit of distance just because it was turning over and then panning back, but not a great shot, not very controllable or replicable. So not really what I'm looking for there. That one is what you would call a really good golf shot. Not great for distance, but really good for in round. That one was just, you know, straight to hyzer the whole way. Really smooth, had a good amount of power, but probably isn't gonna be super far. All right, so let's get out U-disc. We'll see how far these are and then talk about it after. All right, time to check out these throws. Again, this first one, which I'm guessing is the shortest, I just kept it too low, and so didn't have time to kind of pan out of its flight. So I'm guessing this one's not gonna be super far, but then the other ones were kind of just straight or straight to hyzer. So, you know, they got their full flight, but probably not their full potential because you didn't get that churn factor. And so it has a lot of speed left at the end of its flight. It's still spinning a lot, and so it gets a big skip, but it's just gonna fly further if you let it do the churn and come back. So let's see, where is this first shot? All right, like I said, U-disc is not as accurate of a measurement tool as a rangefinder, but it's just so foggy out here. I literally can't use the rangefinder. It won't give me any distances. So this first shot, which I just threw too low, is still at 347. So that's not bad for it being a really low shot that I didn't really get full potential out of. I think there might be one more that's a little shorter actually, that was just so much hyzer. All right, this next one is gonna be one of my longer ones for that set of throws at 378. So that's pretty close to my longest throw yesterday. Honestly, today is a lot colder, not as good of conditions for throwing far, so not too disappointed with that, especially since, you know, I'm trying a new form. All right, what do we got here? Okay, looks like these straight to hyzer shots were actually pretty short. Like I said, they just didn't have the full flight potential. So this one is 322. Got another one right over here. This one is 348. So that's okay, you know, not great, but okay. It's looking like I'm probably actually gonna average worse than yesterday. Yeah, and this shot was very much put on hyzer. It's decently flippy, so at least stood up, but it just came back down pretty quick. And this one's looking like 336. So that's the set. I might do another one just as I'm kind of just still learning this form and maybe get a couple of further shots out there. All right, I'm gonna do one more set as I'm just kind of dialing in the form. If I could get one out there over 400, I would be absolutely stoked. I know it's gonna take a great shot, but we'll see what happens in these next 5 throws. I loved the flight on that one. I didn't quite give it enough power to get it super far. It had a great flex, but I think it's probably about 360. So let's go check out how far they all were, and we'll see how it compares. All right, I had one errant throw. That was the one that my hat literally flew off, and I tried to overpower, didn't focus on form, got a little crazy. I think I released down a little bit of ante or rolled my wrist or something. So that one is kind of gonna be a outlier. I'm not really gonna include that one because basically all of its distance was from rolling. So not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna grab that one first just so then we can get out of the way, and then we'll look at the other 4 shots, which were pretty decent. I don't think any of them got huge distance, but they were all really solid. I felt like really solid form. The flights were really nice. It was nothing crazy. It's not like I'm getting these huge flexes. It's really just straight or just a little bit of turn. So here's that first shot that was like, or not first shot, but the shot that was kind of an outlier. It was 300 feet, but that doesn't really matter because it's like all roll. So now we're to our first actual shots. Wow, all 4 of these shots, this is crazy. You gotta see this. So here, there's one, there's one, there's one, and there's one. They just like made this box right here. So if that doesn't show you that these are just super consistent shots, I don't know what does. So that's great. I think this form is gonna help me be way more consistent on the actual course when I'm throwing. I'm not really seeing the huge distance yet, but I know that will come. So this one is 345 feet. That was my Z-Swirl Surge. This stock rail Grace was 369 feet. The Twice as Far Stamp Star Wraith was 356 feet. And oh, these are so hard to hold. They're so cold. And we got the Hagelic Liftoff Star Luster Wraith at 340. So, like I said, all 4 of these shots, super consistent, all in the same area. And so, I think this form, more than anything, is just gonna help with consistency. And down the road, it'll give me that improved distance when I'm starting to just dial it in more so then I can focus on throwing hard once I have that form as muscle memory. So once I really get it down, I know it well, I won't have to be thinking about every single step, thinking about, okay, I gotta keep my wrist cocked back, I gotta bring up the disc as I'm reaching back and pull across my body, and thinking about all those things are important, but it can take away from being able to just actually rip it. And so as I dial this in, I'm really excited to see that distance continue. I'll probably do an update in a little while as I'm continuing to work on this form and hopefully see the distance there. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Unfortunately, I didn't see the distance gains that I was looking for, but I did see big gains in consistency, which is honestly way more important on the golf course. Out here on the field, sure, you want to get big distance, but what really matters is on the actual disc golf course, throwing smooth lines, throwing consistent shots, and being able to rely on your form. And so I'm so glad I was able to make this switch over, trying to dial in my form. Thank you, Eagle, for putting out that video. So helpful. Again, if you haven't seen it, the link is in the description. Watch it. It is so helpful. Honestly, a game changer. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and we'll see you next week for the next video.